The evening was supposed to be one of celebration. Martin, a 62-year-old chef who had just sold his chain of restaurants, was hosting a cozy dinner at his countryside home. Close friends, business partners, and family gathered around long wooden tables lit with strings of warm lights. The air smelled of rosemary, grilled salmon, and freshly baked sourdough bread. Martin stood by the fire pit, smiling as he watched his guests mingle. He had worked for decades to build his name, and tonight was meant to be about gratitude. His son, Luke, poured wine for the guests, while Luke's wife, Erica, floated around the garden greeting everyone. She looked elegant and confident, the perfect hostess, exactly what Martin had once hoped for when Luke married her. But beneath the charm, Martin felt something cold. Erica had been strangely quiet all week, her texts short, her presence distant. And tonight, he caught something odd. She seemed more focused on the drink table than on the guests. "Dad, you okay?" Luke asked, handing him a glass of wine. "Fine," Martin said with a polite smile, though his eyes stayed on Erica. When dessert was served, Erica disappeared into the kitchen. Martin excused himself from a conversation with a banker friend and followed her quietly, pretending he needed more napkins. Through the half-open kitchen door, he saw her take out a small white packet from her purse. She glanced over her shoulder, then carefully emptied the contents into one of the wine glasses on the counter. His glass, the one with the etched initials that everyone knew was his. His heart thudded against his ribs. He stepped back before she saw him, forcing his face into its usual calm expression. When Erica came back out, she carried the tray of drinks with a perfect smile. "Let's toast to Martin's next chapter," she said warmly. Everyone clapped. Martin raised his glass, but did not drink. His mind was racing. Why would Erica do this? Was Luke involved? What was in that packet? He had faced cutthroat competitors before, but this betrayal felt deeper, personal. He glanced at the glass, then at Erica's expectant face. She wanted him to drink it, and soon.
Martin held the wine glass in his hand, its deep red color glowing under the warm garden lights. Around him, guests laughed and chatted, completely unaware that one sip could end his life. Erica stood across the table, her perfect smile hiding something far darker. "Dad, aren't you going to make the toast?" Luke asked, raising his own glass. "In a moment," Martin replied, with a calmness he did not feel. He set the glass down, pretending to adjust the table setting, and slipped toward the study on the far side of the house. There, away from prying eyes, he took a long, steadying breath. He had spent decades building a reputation as a man who stayed calm under pressure. Now he needed every ounce of that skill. On his desk sat the final contract from the sale of his restaurant chain. $18 million wired into his account just yesterday. If Erica wanted him out of the way, the motive was obvious. A soft knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. It was his old business partner, Robert. "You disappeared just when everyone was waiting for the toast," Robert said with a chuckle. "Just had to check on something," Martin replied, forcing a smile. Robert's laughter faded when he saw Martin's expression. "What's wrong?" Martin hesitated, then decided he trusted this man. "I think someone just tried to poison me." Robert blinked, stunned. "Who?" Martin leaned closer. "Erica. I saw her pour something into my glass. She's been acting strange for weeks, pushing Luke to talk about inheritance, about what happens after I'm gone." Robert swore softly under his breath. "What are you going to do?" Martin straightened his shoulders. "I'm not going to confront her yet, not until I can make sure everyone sees the truth. If I accuse her without proof, Luke will defend her. I need her to expose herself." Robert nodded grimly. Then what's the plan? Martin thought for a moment, then smiled coldly. I switch the glasses, and I make her watch. He walked back toward the garden with quiet determination, rehearsing every move in his head. The danger wasn't over. One wrong step, and he could still end up drinking the poison meant for him. Back at the table, the atmosphere was festive, candles flickering, friends smiling. Erica looked up as he returned, her eyes flicking toward the glass as if to check whether I'd touched it. "Everything all right?" she asked sweetly. "Perfect," Martin said, his voice calm, almost warm. "Shall we begin the toast?" He positioned himself near the drinks table where he could make the switch without anyone noticing. The guests gathered closer, raising their glasses, completely unaware that they were seconds away from witnessing the most shocking moment of the night.
The guests quieted as Martin lifted his glass. His calm, steady voice carried over the soft music. "Tonight means a lot to me," he began, scanning the faces around the table. "I've spent my life building something that I could be proud of. And now, surrounded by friends and family, I get to celebrate the future." Erica stood near Luke, smiling sweetly, but Martin saw how her eyes kept darting toward his hand. She wanted him to drink. "Before we toast," Martin said, "let's do this properly. Luke, Erica, would you help me grab the special champagne flutes from the kitchen? I want this to be perfect." Luke grinned. "Sure thing." He and Erica disappeared inside. The moment they were gone, Martin moved fast. He casually picked up his wine glass, then exchanged it with Robert's untouched glass from the other end of the table. It took only seconds and looked like he was just making room for the upcoming champagne. When Luke and Erica returned, everyone gathered closer, glasses raised. Erica's gaze locked on Martin's glass. She was practically glowing with anticipation. "To fresh beginnings," Martin said loudly, his smile steady. He raised the glass to his lips, but didn't drink. Instead, he turned suddenly to Robert. "Actually, Robert, why don't you have the honor? You've been with me since the first restaurant opened. You should have the first sip." A flicker of panic crossed Erica's face. "Oh, maybe we should just open the champagne," she began, too quickly. "Just one sip," Martin insisted, holding the glass out. Robert reached for it, and Erica lunged forward. "No!" Her shout was too loud, too desperate. Every head turned toward her. The party went silent. "Why not?" Martin asked, his voice calm but cutting. Erica froze, her face pale, her hands trembling. I just think we should wait for the champagne," she stammered. Martin set the glass down gently. "Or maybe we should have it tested first, to find out exactly what you put in it." A collective gasp rippled through the group. Luke's eyes widened. "Erica, what is he talking about?" Martin faced his son, his voice steady. "I saw her in the kitchen. She emptied a packet of powder into my glass and stirred it. I switched the glasses before coming back." Erica's mask shattered. "That's insane!" she screamed, but her voice cracked. "Why would I poison him?" Robert stepped forward. "Because he just sold his restaurants for $18 million, he said coldly. Luke stared at his wife, betrayal dawning in his eyes. "Erica, tell me that's not true." Her silence was answer enough. Martin leaned closer, his words quiet but deadly clear. "If I hadn't seen you, I'd be lying on this ground right now, and you'd be consoling my son while secretly planning your next move. But you forgot one thing. I don't just cook. I watch. I listen. And tonight, I stayed 3 steps ahead." Erica's shoulders slumped, her defiance melting into raw fear. Luke stepped back from her, disgust written all over his face. "Get out," he said finally, his voice breaking. Erica grabbed her purse, humiliated, and stormed toward the driveway. The guests stood frozen, processing what had just happened. When the sound of her car faded into the night, Martin exhaled slowly and raised his glass. To true family, he said quietly, looking at Luke, Robert, and the loyal friends who had stayed, and to surviving what was meant to destroy us. This time he drank, and the crowd followed, relief and admiration breaking the heavy silence. The rest of the night was different, more calm, more real. The masks were gone, and Martin knew that, though he had lost a daughter-in-law, he had saved his own life and opened his son's eyes. His retirement would begin not with tragedy, but with truth.